Hey guys, Scott with Killer Minis Painting and Gaming. Today, we're going to be talking all about these guys, brushes. Welcome to my new series called Mini Basics. And in this series, it's really geared toward bare beginners or people who have just come back from not having painted in a while maybe. So basically, what I'm going to recommend is that you run down to your Hobby Lobby, Walmart, or whatnot, and pick yourself up a large pack of these cheap brushes. These are relatively inexpensive. They come in varying quantities. Usually the smaller ones, about 5 to 10, and you can get larger kits with like 15 or 20. But they're really cheap, $2 to $5 for a whole pack. So you're going to see there's three main materials that they're going to use. So you'll see some have a natural hair, and then you'll have your synthetic, either this white Teflon type or this golden. So yeah, I would recommend probably one of each, either the white or the golden synthetics, and then some natural hairs, probably 2 packs of each. And so for a few bucks, you get a handful of each type. You're also going to want to keep an eye out and make sure there's plenty of round, probably like round. This is a round 0 and 0, 1, 2, a couple of varying sizes. Here's another round brush, but like I said, it's in the synthetic. And this one's actually, this one's too large really, but it's a flat brush. So as far as you'll see, there's different sizes. So you have your rounds, you have your flats. Here's another flat that's made of a Teflon. And yeah, pick up these cheap sets of brushes. And this is pretty much what you want to start getting your feet wet with. Definitely for your first, 5, 10, 20, 30 miles. And if you never feel like you need a better brush, well, you don't ever really need one. But there will come a time for you more than likely where these natural hairs start to split and they start to bug you. So along with the recommendation of a couple cheap packs, I would also recommend seeking out some Citadel brushes. I've had these for quite a few years, and I use these quite regularly as my go-to workhorse brush. And I have a standard brush and a base coat brush. One's a little larger than the other, and I use them both pretty much for base coating. And as long as you take care of these brushes, and I'll have a future video where we talk about how to maintain your brushes and how to take care of them with brush soap. If you take proper care of them, they will last you quite a long time. So anyhow, my next recommendation is to get yourself some Citadel brushes. So with these 2 base coat brushes and a handful of these that you can do all of your dry brushing, any of your washes that you use. You can use some of your cheap brushes. I don't personally recommend using a lot of washes, say, that come in the Army Painter variety, like the dark tone, dark shaders, or your Citadel washes, which are both widely known and coveted brands of washes. If it's purely a paint wash, it's okay to use your better brushes. The problem is that some of those other washes will have varnishes and who knows what's in them, and they will affect your bristles. So those are my recommendations. A couple of Citadel base brushes. Citadel also makes, keep an eye out, they've got a variety of other brushes. I do like their little dry brushes that they have. This one in particular is a small dry brush that I use a lot for when I want to use a controlled dry brush. Like if you've watched one of my previous videos when we painted the Paladin, I used this small dry brush a lot. And then also for dry brushing, I do use a lot of these cheap Teflon square brushes. And I'd like to have quite a few of these because you want to keep the bristles dry. So as you're changing colors, you don't want to have to wet the brush and then obviously wait for it to dry to use it as a dry brush. So yeah, I like to have quite a few different brushes to just grab as I'm changing colors. So another thing that the GW does well is they have these shade brushes, and these have a large belly, and it's nice because I can use these for glazes and shades. But overall, Citadel does have some very decent workhorse brushes. Now, if you've done any research whatsoever, you're going to come across everybody telling you about this brush. Either this one or another one. This is a Winsor & Newton Series 7 fine sable brush, which is made with a specific blend of sable called the Kolinsky. And make no bones about it, this is a fantastic brush. However, do you need it when you're starting out? Do you need to have a $15 to $20 brush? No, you don't. You really don't. Is it okay if you have one? Sure, why not? But I wouldn't recommend it when you're starting out. I think you need to go through the bases with some workhorse brushes, being your Citadels, and then your cheap natural hair or synthetic brushes that you grab right out of the art store, Walmart's, wherever. They come in large quantities. Once you get your feet set with those, and then you can experiment with a better quality brush. And then at that point, I do recommend a high quality brush. You might want to get yourself either the Winsor & Newton Series 7 or the Raphael, I believe it's 8404. Those two brushes are the standard, which all other brushes are compared to. And quite honestly, until you own one, you won't get how these other brushes are really related. And it's the best thing I can tell you. I do use this brush regularly. I will use it for fine details, and I use it for very precise and fine glazing. However, I don't always paint that way. So the reality is I actually use my much more inexpensive Citadel base coat brush and my cheap brushes more often than not. I really do. And I just kind of grab whatever I like. I also like these Filbert brushes, and it's a different style tip. It's kind of square and round. And with this, I can cover a lot of ground. So if I want to base coat fast, I use one of these Filberts. Problem is, these take a little bit to get used to. They can be messy for you. Another style is this Army Painter's brush. A lot of people like these because of the triangular grip, and it seems if you want to hold it your brush like a pencil, it kind of feels that way. It's very comfortable. I don't particularly groove on these, but they're a good quality brush. Decent run-of-the-mill brush. Probably better than your cheap pack, right? So anyhow, when you come across all of the reviews for your high-end Winsor & Newton and your Raphael, resist the urge at first. File that in the back of your mind as something to do in the future, because the bottom line is you're probably going to try a lot of different brushes along your journey, and you'll start to find, once you develop your techniques, which style and size brush you like to use for what technique. And that's not going to be set in stone. That will evolve along with your painting skill, and your habits and your preferences will change along the way. Which is why I really recommend getting the large pack of cheap brushes first, because you can try all these different sizes and styles before you start to heavily invest in your more expensive brushes. So that's pretty much it for the brushes, guys. Try not to spend more than $15 to $30 in your brush selection, and you should be good. The next video, we're going to be talking about my recommendations for what you should do for a paint line what types of paint to select and which ones to use as a new painter. So keep a lookout for that. And hey, little self promo, if you are not subscribed, make sure you do. Hit that subscribe button and select the little bell so that way you can get notifications when I release new videos. It's always important to stay up to date with whatever we're throwing out there for you. So hey, leave me a comment. Let me know if you're digging. Until then, guys, Killer Minis, double pieces. Subscribe, dude.